I didn't expect to. Mike, can you grab it for me if you don't mind? Yeah, please. Well, I know, but you're just awesome, and you're going to do it for me, so we're good to go. That's right. I'll work on being the servant of you. How about that? Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. The reason I say is here I am again is because, like I said, I didn't expect to speak to you tonight. This was supposed to be Mr. Adams' turn. And he really had a really good message. He was sharing with it a little bit with me, and I was like, wow, I think I'd like to hear that. You know, a lot of times when you talk, you bore me, but I didn't say that to him, but that's what I was thinking. And he's going to see this DVD, so that's going to be awesome. But anyway, yeah. But because of that, and me having a talk with Mr. Adams, actually Joel walked up to me this morning, and he goes, hey, did you speak to your dad? I was like, no. You know, what's up? He goes, and I'm thinking, okay, he's sick, he's speaking. So he goes, yeah, he told me he would get you to cover. And I said, well, great, because he didn't tell me. So let me see if I can throw something together here in a couple hours, and we'll be good to go. But and I don't know if you know yet or not, because Joel has really been missed. And I'm not just saying that because he's here, but he has really been missed in speaking a lot. And I know y'all feel the same way I do. And actually, Wayne and me both have been kind of, for the sides like, well, you sure you don't want to take this tonight? Because that's what I asked him. He's like, well, I can. And I said, I'll just go in. Because the reason I say that is because it's starting, let's see, it's me, then Bart, and then you till July, I think you said. Huh? Okay, Wayne, I'm sorry, Wayne, and then you until July. So you'll get plenty of Joel, don't worry. But I'm going to go ahead and speak to you tonight about victory in Jesus. It's a good place to find victory. A lot of times we don't realize it's a good place to find victory, though. We try to think that maybe we can get it in our own power, or we can get it some other way. And I can assure you that we can't get it with our own power, and that's what I'm going to talk to you about tonight. So first of all, I want you to stand with me and turn to Isaiah 41:10, and we will read it together. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Now, in the New Living Standard translation, it says victorious instead of righteous on the hand. So can you flash it one more time for me, Bill? I'm sorry. Yeah. So it says, I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my victorious right hand. So that's what we're going to talk to you about a little bit tonight. Let's go and go to point one. Y'all may remember this old Southern gospel hymn we used to sing. I think it's called Fear and Victory, isn't it? Oh, wait, no, that's Victory in Jesus. I was way off. Well, what are you talking about, fear and victory? Well, I can assure you that when something comes at us, we know about the fear, but we don't know about the victory. I know I'm guilty of it a lot. Because that's the first thing that hits you. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? You're not going, hey, I got my sword, I'm fighting, here we go, right? No, you're not there. We need to be, but we're not. So then it says fear. I'm going to go ahead and read the definition to you. It says fear. A distressing emotion aroused by impending danger, evil, pain, etc. Whether the threat is real or imagined. The feeling or condition of being afraid. Well, I'm not just going to stand up here and give Satan all the glory and talk about fear. I'm going to talk about victory too. So victory's definition, a success or triumph over an enemy in battle or war. You know what? The battles are going to come. The fear is going to creep in. It's bound to happen. It comes natural. Our body immediately reacts, freaks out. What am I going to do? But if you remember last week, we talked a little bit about God's always speaking. So I'm going to tell you to listen to His voice and get ready to obey. Sorry, I lost my place here. 1 second. Well, oops, that was 3. It's bound to happen. It comes natural. What do I do? Hold on, deliverance is coming. And that's deliverance that I was talking about. So you got a preview before the show there. Anyway, what do I do? Hold on, deliverance is coming. I'm reading from a iPad, so it's very interesting to read this sometimes. But hold on, deliverance is coming. The main thing is that you don't stay in the moment defeated. Just like I talked about, you got to find God in the moment. You got to find God in this moment too. You can't stay in your moment of fear defeated. But look for Him. Look to Him for the victory. Remember, find God in that moment. Point 2, I'm sorry. The battle is God's, not ours. We have no dog in the fight, y'all. Like I spoke last week, we own nothing. What's holding us back? But here's something that's very interesting too. What is there it is. What is destined to happen is predestined. So what you've got to do is you've got to start to speak it and live in it. God, with your help, I will overcome this. This is not my battle, it is yours. All right, let's look at Joshua 6. I was talking to y'all about this a little bit last week, and I said, well, I'm going to go and continue with that. It says, now Jericho was tightly shut up because of the Israelites. So right there's the battle, right? The battle is that Jericho is tightly shut up. Okay, and there's just several things that we can pick throughout this whole thing, like I was talking about. No one went in, or no one went out, and no one came in. All right, keep going. Then the Lord said to Joshua, see, I have delivered Jericho into your hands, along with its king and its fighting men. He's told him he's going to give him the victory. Go ahead. The 7th time around, when the priest sounded the trumpet blast, Joshua commanded the people, shout, for the Lord has given you the city. So there's the victory right there, right? Shout, and it's yours. Sounds simple, don't it? The city and all that is in it are to be devoted to the Lord, and we talked about that last week. And then we talked about how they, because she hid the spies we sent, and keep going with that. And they burned the whole city and everything in it, but put the silver and gold and the articles of bronze and iron in the Lord's treasury of the Lord's house. But the Israelites acted unfaithfully, regarded the devoted things. Lord's anger burned against Israel. So the point is that he had the victory. And that's what I was trying to say last week. He gave him the victory. He told him he was going to give it to him. He shouted, you know those stories. So, so the thing is that point 3. Let's go ahead and go to point 3. This is what I'm trying to say. Fear, obey, and receive God's deliverance. Because first you're going to have the fear come on you. Like I said, then you got to get ready to listen to His voice so you can obey. And then when you obey Him, you'll receive His deliverance. And you think about every story where God was involved in any type of victory in the Bible, that's what they did. They turned around and they, the battle was there. You know, the thing Brandy was talking about where the wind with the blowing with the trees. I mean, all the different ones that he's been speaking about. Every time it was the same thing. If they wouldn't have obeyed that, what if they just went rushing in and not waited on the wind? Or any of the other stories that he said. They'd have got slaughtered. They'd have been murdered. Or what if they said, well, I know God told us to send the worship team first, but you know what? I think the youth are really on fire. Well, there goes the youth and your whole camp because you didn't listen to God. Listen for his voice and get ready to obey. That's what I was trying to say a while ago. He will deliver you and bring you victory. Point 4. He knows no fear. He sees things we can't. Therefore, he knows the outcome. But you know what? God is love, and love casts out all fear. 1 John 4:18. There is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear. Because fear has to do with punishment. The one who fears is not made perfect in love. Go and put up John 18:4. Because he sees things that we can't. He's all-knowing, right? Jesus, knowing all that was going to happen to him, went out and asked them, who is it you want? So, he already knows what's going to happen. So he starts questioning them about it. And if he knows about that, I mean, he knows about everything that we're going to go through. So why do we fear? Why do we get all tore up? And I mean, I don't know the answer, but I know that what we need to be doing, and that's this right here. We need to be listening for his voice, so that we can obey and we can move when he tells us to move. I'm going to tell y'all something too. You know, you've seen all these end time movies and stuff where you don't have a lot of time to do things. Now's the time for us to really draw close to God. So if we are ever faced in that situation, or a Cassie Bernal, or whatever you're faced in, that you can hear God's voice and you can move when he tells you to. Because I'm going to tell you, if you got a battle and you hear him, that's good. But if you don't obey him, the outcome's going to totally change. He's still going to know it, but unfortunately it's probably not going to be as pretty as you would have expected it to. Because you're going to end up throwing some wilderness in there because you didn't listen to what he told you. And if it's a point in your life where you can throw some wilderness in there, that's fine. But if it's one of these split set decisions of deny Christ or I'm going to shoot you, which, I mean, we all know that answer, but you got what I'm trying to say, that type of scenario. And I say we all know that answer, but we don't have a gun pointed at us either. Let's see. Go ahead and go to point 5. And why I brought up Tim earlier is because he was sitting there and I was sitting there waiting on the girls and everything, and so he comes out on the porch and he's like, hey. I'm like, yeah, just stay up there. And so he goes, what are you speaking on tonight? And I said, well, I'm actually working on it here. I said, I guess I can go and tell you what it says. And so I went through everything with him. And I said, but I was at point 5. And he's like, well, back there at point 2. I said, well, I got all that. I said, but do we want to make point 2 longer? Or can we go ahead and build from 5, where I'm at? And so he's like, oh, yeah, that's fine. So point 5 says, we have his strength in our weakness. He has strength in his power. And so I was like, okay, tell me what you would say about this. We'll go and let you have this one. So this is a little bit of Tim here. And, of course, it's got the commands of Christ thrown in there for a little plug. He's good about that with me and him, so which is good. Says we have fear in our weakness, and he gives us strength in our weakness through courage. Because the faith we have through our courage, we know that he will deliver us. What builds faith is knowing the commands of Christ and that we have obeyed him. Look over to Matthew 28:16 through 20. Because I'm going to tell you where he gets his power. I'm sorry, 20. Well, you did ask me if it was 20. You're right, 28. I'm sorry. That's my fault. It says, then the 11 disciples went to Galilee to the mountain where Jesus had told them to go. Important, obey. When they saw him, they worshipped him, but some doubted. Then Jesus came to them and said, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. There's obey again. And surely I am with you always to the very end of the age. Therefore, the authority that we have is His grace. His grace is the desire and the power to accomplish His will. And if you want to read something else about God's power, I talked about it a while ago, the end times, read the whole chapter of Revelation, if nothing else. Because I can guarantee you're going to see the power of God in those days. So in closing, I'm going to tell you that this is how we overcome. This is how that we get the victory in Jesus. This is how that we get delivered. But I'm telling you that it's got to go right back to the stuff we talked about last week and this week. I'm telling y'all, I encourage you, I beg you, I plead with you. If you don't hear God's voice now, get to that place. Do whatever you've got to do to make sure without a doubt that you hear His voice. I'll tell you one thing I do, and I think I've shared it with y'all before, is that I say I'm not that smart. If I hear God say something to me, I always go, there's no way I would have come up with that. I'd have probably come up with how to watch TV. You know, I'm not going to come up with go do this or go do that, or I'm not that smart. And the other thing is, of course, you've got to try it. But I mean, you know if it's His fruit. I mean, He's not going to go tell you to do something goofy, because you know the enemy's speaking to you too. But you can tell a whole big difference in the voices in terms of the fruit there. Just like Randy says, and several other people from time to time, where they talk about, we paraphrase God because we try to make it sound different than how God would say it into terms that we're used to. Just for the simple fact of we try to make it harsher. Because God loves His children. He's not a harsh God. Now, He is a God that loves discipline and will not, will chastise us and make sure that we stay with the rod. But He does it in love too. That's why it's so important for us not to beat people over the head with the Bible. Because if we're really talking about the message that He wanted us to send, then we wouldn't be doing that. We would be doing what's right. We would be doing what's pure. We would be doing what's holy. But I'm telling you, it's just so important to hear God. And then when you hear Him, you've got to obey. You've got to obey. I think about when I got saved and several times, different things I was struggling with in my life. How many of you ever did this? And don't raise your hand. But if you ever said, well, God, if they'll just play this song right here, I'll go up to the altar. I used to do that all the time. And, of course, what would they do? They'd play the song because dumb me didn't have enough sense to realize I need to be up there anyway. I had to wait on a song. I had to wait on a sign from God. Yeah, you need to go get your life right. Here it is. There's the song. I'd be sitting there going, what? Are you kidding me? You're going to test me with this? But I say that jokingly because, like I said, that's not the way God thinks. God says, okay, if that's what it takes for you to run back into my arms, here it goes. Am I really the only one that's ever done that? I kind of like to see a show of hands now. Am I really weird here? I was a teenager. I was young, Yeah, okay, good. Well, I know fleeces, but I'm talking that particular fleecing. Okay, yeah, but I'm saying is that you would do that fleece though, right? But you would do it to a worship song. That's what I'm getting at. Okay, okay. I mean, I'm not trying to say that I'm crazy or nothing. Well, yeah, well, I don't remember what happened. Mine were, I know my mom taught one time about. She said that she was arguing with God, and I was like, man, I'm glad I was out of the house when you did that day. And then I got to thinking about it, and I said, well, hey, Goofy, what's the same thing you did? What if you just play this song? Let me just see what you're made of, all-powerful one. What was I thinking? It's sad that our humor that we have but should I say God's humor with us because of our stupidity. That's what I need to say, not our humor. I don't know. I look back at all that stuff now, and I'm just like, I honestly sit there to the being that created everything and said, just get them to play a worship song. I'll go up. What if he said, what if I just strike you with lightning and get over with it right now? You know what I mean? What are you going to waste my time for? What if I wanted to hear this song? What if it's the last one? You know what I mean? Oh, me. That's what I'm saying. I just have to laugh sometimes at our stupidity in the Lord, and that's all you can call it, because we don't get it. I mean, we'll go ahead and jump through this hoop, and I'll do exactly what you want me to do. No, it don't. It don't work like that. We think it does. But like I said, just make sure that you're hearing the voice and that you're obeying. Don't be putting out fleeces. I mean, I'm not saying fleeces are a bad thing. They have their place. But there's got to be a point where we just grow up. There's got to be a point where we just say, I'm hearing God and I'm moving. Not, well, this is stopping me from that, or like I was talking to you last week about, well, I'm not good enough. I don't have any talents. And I told you, well, you're going to go be a mechanic for Christ. And people don't look at that stuff. I mean, they don't sit there and look at their job and go, I could do this for the kingdom. I guess we're tired of it Monday through Friday, but but it's it's just something that we really need to pay attention to, and I mean, be open. I encourage you, just this week, just be open. Just anytime you get a moment, when you're praying to Him, when He wakes you up in the middle of the night, whatever, just if you don't even sense anything, just, God, let me hear your voice. Just say, God, just let me hear your voice. Just speak to me. Whatever time you feel that you need to be in. Because a lot of times, y'all, we get busy talking to Him and we don't listen to what He's got to say. Oh, let me pray to you. I got this and this and this and this and this and this and this. And He just wants to love you. He just wants you to sit in His presence. Put on a worship CD. Give Him some time. Don't wait till you come in here on Sunday morning. I'm just as guilty of it as anybody. But don't wait till you come in here on Sunday morning and say, okay, now I'm going to take that time with you. Because 30 minutes or however long we play, that's great. But I'm going to tell you something. If you just spend a Saturday or any other day and you sit there for an hour, 2 hours, however long it is, you won't even feel like you've been sitting there long. And you'll be up here. You'll be at that next level that I was telling you about last week. Because you'll be in Him exactly where He wants you to be. You'll be listening to Him. You'll be moving with Him. We take that for so granted. And there's got to be a place to where we just, like I said, we just grow up and say, just speak to me and let me move. That's all I have. God bless y'all.